Okay, so I have completed gathering all the extra info from those indicators. All 91 trades have now been logged. And so I'm going to go back to my strategy outline because for this example, there's one other one I want to test as well. Test entry candle size. Can it close beyond the first candle? I want to see whether our entry candle needs to be within a certain range of the other candles. What I mean by this is, can the close of our third candle be well beyond the price of our first candle, whether it's the body or the swing? I'm not going to know whether this changes the outcome of this strategy until I've logged all this info and tested it. So while it is another tedious process, it is going to be worthwhile to see if it changes the outcome of our trading strategy. To set up for collecting this info, I'll go back to our sheet. I'm just going to clean this up a bit. I'm going to get rid of these because I don't think we're going to use them for the next while. We'll use these a little later on, so they can be placeholders, but let's add another 2 columns. So I'm going to add 2 to the left, and I'll actually move these over so they're here. So I'll shorthand this so we say entry candle larger than first body, and entry candle larger than first wick. Okay, so now I have the column set up, and I'm actually just going to collect a yes and no on this. So to make it a little bit easier, I'll select the first cell. I'll go data, data validation. So data input L7 is the cell we're in. We want to use L and M. So I will use the colon. And if I just type M, it'll go all the way to the end of the sheet. So list from a range, we want to do list from items. And let's say yes, comma, no. Then we will select reject input and hit save. And now we can see we've got these little down arrows. So if we click on there, our 2 options are yes and no. So it's going to be a lot easier just to type yes and tab and no and tab, and it's going to fill in the rest for us. The reason I'm using these drop downs for just yes and no is to ensure we don't have any typos. We will be running formulas on here later on, so if we have a typo, that's going to completely skew our results by not being counted within the formula. Having the yes and no and having it reject any other inputs will eliminate this potential typo issue. So once again, I'm going to go back to TradingView and I'll rewind to this date, 2018-01-03. And our first trade on the list should be this one here. So what I want to see is whether this candle, the close of it, is above the open of this first candle and the swing of this candle. So if it's quite close and you can't really make it out, we can actually put in a horizontal line. And since I've got magnet mode on, it's actually going to snap to the point I need it to go to. So if I click here, we'll be able to zoom in and see the close of our green candle is above the body, but below the swing. So I'm using the close of the entry candle, not the swing for this, which is why we're looking here and not up here. So to put this in our sheet, entry candle is larger than the first body. That is yes, that is true because it closes beyond the body of the first candle. So I'm going to say yes, and entry candle is larger than the first candle wick. We can see the wick actually extends up to here, so no, that one would not be correct. So I say no. Using tab and then enter, tab, enter is very handy because it will keep us within the right column. So going to our next trade, we can actually delete that line now. We move up here, and I believe this was our second one on January 9th, 6 p.m. So we can definitely see this one a lot easier. We can use this line if we need to, but it's very obvious that the close of this candle is well below the body of the first candle and the wick of the first candle. So is the entry candle larger or greater than the first body and the first wick? That'll be no and no. Okay, so moving on to the next trade, which is the 17th of January, 10 p.m. Moving up here, that was not a trade, but this one is 7th of January, 10 p.m. Okay, so here's one right in the middle. We'll put that there again. This is between the 2 candles, but our first candle is here. The body, it does not close beyond the body of the first candle, and it does not close beyond the wick. So once again, this one is no and no. Oops. And then we can move on to the 21st. Get rid of that line again. 21st should be right here at 10 p.m. Putting our line in just so we can see it nice and easy. But this does not close beyond the body of our first candle, nor does it close beyond the wick. So once again, this is a no, and we get to the 25th, which is here, 25th, we can see that is well below the body and the wick of the first candle. So this one, once again, will be no and no. Okay, so we have our February 12th, 2018, 2 a.m. trade. I'll put my line in there. We can see this one is a short trade and it's beyond the body of the candle, the open of the first candle, and it's within range of the wick. So in this one, I will say, yes, it is beyond the body, but no, it is not beyond the wick. Okay, we'll delete that. Let's go on. Let's find the trade on the 14th, which will be this one here. And that one is one of the sizable candles. So that's what I was talking about. If we put a line across here, we can see that's well beyond the range of the first candle. The open being here, because it's a red candle, the close is below it. The open and the swing of this candle is up here, but the close of our third candle is way up here. So let's go to our sheet here and let's say, yes, it is beyond range of the first candle body, and yes, it is beyond range of the first candle wick. Now you get the idea. I'm going to go through and finish up all of these 91 candles. Then we can start looking at the results.